Hello, welcome to this museum build. I'm Golsey and over the last months we've been creating the ultimate survival world. This is part 10 of my survival series, so this is where I will construct a museum. It will be part of the governmental center of the city. I also think it's nice to implement the road with it. First, I will make a classical building that will house the new pale oak farm I'm building. And if you think I didn't have that before I built the entire palace building, you'd be right. I built it later and I regretted it afterwards. The building is of course not necessary for the farm, but I always like to cover up my farms with something more appealing. With the white palace, the museum that will be white, and this dome that is white, the oak color feels a bit out of place, but I think I will change it to pale oak as that will look a lot better. Yeah, proof of concept, this looks definitely better. It is very white now, but with some vegetation later it will look much better. Now let's build the actual purpose of this entire building, the pale oak farm. And of course, spending some quality AFK time bartering for quartz. I put the foundation pillars in to get a good view of the scale and layout of this museum. The square in the middle will be housing the entrance area of the museum, with the big room towards the palace having the biggest exhibition. Now there's only one way to go, and that's up, starting with building the full foundation. And that is the design of said foundation. This museum build was inspired by my soon-to-be wife. We are getting married next week, which is very fitting as we both really love going to museums. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to consider subscribing, as I will be releasing a new build every week. I got a lot more builds in this world on the channel. Link to playlist is in the description. Floor done, foundation done, the size is now very clear. On one of the wings there's a cutout in the floor, which is meant for a bigger piece of art to go in. I'll show you that later. Also including the gap where the main street into the kingdom will come through. I think this will add a very nice effect walking through the streets instead of only flying with the elytra. It is about that time to start rising the structure into the skies by putting the first walls up. As you can see, these walls are looking very similar to the surrounding builds. This will give a more uniform presentation, yet there will be enough variations to keep it from looking monotone and boring. The darkened glass will also fit this museum very well. It is also used in real-life museums to keep the art from being in direct sunshine and possibly discoloring. So I just built the first wall section and I think it looks nice and detailed. I also made an overhanging structure to shelter from the rain. It also provides the building with a more interesting configuration and a great excuse to hang another chandelier. Of course, I will also add more detail for the interior, because differing from many of my other builds, this one will have an interior. That's really the main point, of course. On either end of this wall section, I will build a tower to round the edges off and contain the look of the walls. If you know someone who might also enjoy these builds, make sure to share it around. With the tower on both sides, this part looks like a completed structure. They should look a bit recognizable if you've been to my channel before, as they are almost identical twins to the palace build next door. Now, with this section looking pretty, I will quickly place in the equal remaining sections on the back of this, here and here, and all the way on the other side as well. I always like to keep my roof lines not at the same level. This adds variation and identity to the building. And even though it is very close in style to the building surrounding, it surely does look different. On the other side, the road is running through like mentioned. I think this will get the same vibe as the Rijksmuseum. Now this section I will take you with me. Because the road cuts underneath, this part is designed a little different to accommodate for that. You may notice the walls becoming very thick, as I have to make place for the outside detail, inside detail and of course the glass itself. It does make the building look like it could withstand anything you would throw at it. With the sides pretty far done, I think it's now time to focus on the middle. The middle will be Roman Greek inspired by 4 big pillars and a triangle shape up top. Wow, there it's finally in. All the walls are finished with all details and almost all inside walls are also done. You see how these buildings start to surround you on all sides? That's exactly what I was going for. After this build there will be some buildings behind the little dome structure and the plaza itself will get a major aesthetic update as well, completing the entire look. And you can see there's quite a bit of space left in the museum. Of course, on this side the lower part is missing because of the road cutting through. On the top sections I also made some stands for artifacts to go in. I think the next order of business is to finish the structure and the entrance hall, and after that add the roof up top. It always fascinates me when you build a wall like this and it looks so pointy and unfinished, but with those 3 trapdoors it looks nice and rounded. Amazing. To finish off the entrance, I've made a reception area and put some of my librarians from the library episode to sell you tickets. I designed a reception desk with the same diameter to match the dome going up top later, finishing off with some lights, plants and benches. This reception area looks nice and completed, with some pillars going up to the ceiling, and speaking of said ceiling, that's another thing stolen from my library episode. The brick section of the roof is only slightly angled and doesn't reach up very high. The rest of the roof will be covered with black stone with some holes left in to make some skylights. And of course I will also be putting a dome in the middle of the roof. I really can't stop myself from building with pale oak and slamming domes on top. And this is what it looks like when the whole build is complete. The dome up top really finishes it off. When we go inside, oh yeah, I put those villages without any protection. Anyway, going into the first room, you can see I finished off everything inside as well. The biggest room is my favorite. The ceiling looks very clean, but let's focus on these little odd sections. Not everything always matches up perfect, even if you planned it out. Fixing it up a bit less uniform is not an issue when building. You probably wouldn't have even noticed it if I didn't point it out. Long story short, it is okay to patch things up sometimes. It doesn't really affect your building at all. On the other side, the room is also finished, yet a bit smaller of course. And now, let's transform this build from a building to a museum filled with paintings, artifacts and everything else. I'll be putting a lot of items in this museum on display. However, if you have any suggestions of a piece to add to the collection, please let me know in the comments. As always, all suggestions are very welcome and thank you to everyone who has been leaving them. The museum is now finally completely finished and filled to the brim with art. The look of this plaza is really coming together. I'll only be adding one more building and detailing the plaza in a later episode. Now let's take a look inside, shall we? Up front I built some lion statues to greet you as you come in. Coming in we are greeted by our resident receptionist, Gertrude, I think. Starting on the left we have some rare hides on display. Walking through some pottery found in a faraway desert. Makers unknown. Going up to the first floor on the north wing, I have some armor on display from some heroic fallen soldiers. Rare weapons and my very first wooden pickaxe. Nice place for it. On the other side of this room, there's something big. A massive dinosaur skull hanging from the ceiling on full display with plenty of seating around. Below there are some ancient pillars sticking up that have been found while digging. This was in the lore the reason to build the museum in this place. Walking towards the south wing of the museum, we'll find the art gallery with some modern and more ancient paintings. At the end of the hall, the most prized possessions from another dimension. This kingdom does not know much about this dimension, but it's a nice place to put my ender egg. Moving downstairs, we'll see the rarest of earth minerals this kingdom has to offer, including the rare deep slate emerald ore. To finish off this room, I built an aquarium to form a divide from the entrance and offer some great interaction with tropical fish from faraway lands. And that concludes our tour of this museum. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, consider subscribing and I hope to see you next time.